One of the delights of living in the great Northwest is enjoying the theater of seasons. But now, we're entering the tornado season. WCCO Television presents
Good evening. Welcome to a WCCO TV weather special, Tornadoes Detection and Protection. I'm Mike Fairborn, and during the next half hour, Bud Kraling and I will take you on a tour of the National Severe Storms Forecast Center located in Kansas City, where watches for the entire nation are issued. We'll also discuss the latest in safety rules, and you should take note, some of those rules have changed. Right now I'm standing in front of the radar at the National Severe Storms Laboratory in Norman, Oklahoma, where the latest in research in severe weather is being conducted. Rogers and Hammerstein note that in Oklahoma, the wind comes right behind the rain, and they're right. This laboratory is located 30 miles south of Oklahoma City, and it's right in the heart of Tornado Alley. Housed inside this geodesic dome is America's most sophisticated eye on the sky. The Doppler is a lot like conventional radar in that it measures the storm's reflectivity. That's the intensity of the precipitation in the storm, but that's where the similarity ends. This radar divides a storm cell into 10,000 small volumes of space. Each tiny unit is scanned for water droplets or ice crystals. The movement of these small particles can be traced inside the thunderstorm cell. Observers watch for the mesocyclone. That's the counterclockwise movement of particles inside the storm cell, and it's a signal that a tornado is forming. It's that signal that makes the Doppler so special, because it can detect the formation of a tornado some 20 minutes before it can be sighted by ground observers. Perhaps the most interesting radar display appears as a field of arrows. The arrows indicate the velocity of the particles in the storm cell, and the turbulence is measured by the size of the arrowhead. If the arrows take the shape of a hook or a counterclockwise circle, the observers have another confirmation that a tornado is forming. Now that the Doppler radar's experimental stage is nearing its completion, officials predict that the Doppler will be as common as conventional radar and will soon be a standard feature of television stations and most National Weather Service offices in the tornado belt. But the concern at the center goes beyond radar. In the heart of the Severe Storms Lab beats a continual refrain, the sound of data meeting magnetic tape. Signals from the lab's high-altitude weather balloon monitoring stations are kept on file, as is the data sent back from the lab's specially equipped F-4C jet, which actually flies inside thunderstorms. But all the equipment and all the data at the lab would be meaningless without its instant communications network. This network is not based in New York or Hollywood, but in Kansas City, Missouri, and that's where every tornado watch is issued, and that's where we'll go next on Tornadoes Detection and Protection. This is the National Severe Storms Forecast Center located in Kansas City. The people that work in this office are responsible literally for keeping track of the weather from coast to coast, and they're the only ones that can issue watches for severe thunderstorms or for tornadoes should weather conditions warrant it. Shortly after I arrived at the center, the severe local storm forecasters gathered for their morning briefing.
Shift back over here today. We've also got another area that looks a little suspect, another possible report max or another coming out across the northern Appalachians.
Fred Ostby is the director of the center, and after the briefing I talked with Fred about this round-the-clock operation and how it issues tornado watches for the entire country.
Well, we've got a newer and a better way to do it now, Mike, and a faster way. And of course, this is one of the things that this equipment that we have here in the room is designed to help us do. It's been a problem for years and years that so many of the things we have to do take so long. Sure. The old way of issuing tornado watches, you had to sit down at a typewriter and type it, then hand it to a communicator, and then he typed it out again and entered it on a teletype. And of course, as slow as that was, we were losing rather precious time, because the idea is of course, we want to get information out as quick as possible. And this is what this new AFOS system is designed to do. For example, now if we decided that a watch was required that included, say, parts of southern Minnesota, the forecaster, he would just type right in here. Part of southern Minnesota. And if he makes a mistake, it's easy to go back, and hopefully I won't make one, but if I did, I could go back and see. Then he just would delete these other lines.
Oh, yeah.
And then maybe he could insert a line, too, so that Minnesota would stand out better. And when it becomes fully operational, we'll be able to sit down and compose and edit a tornado watch right here on the screen and just strike a button, and it'll go out to all the field offices. The forecaster has the framework or the format for a tornado watch already stored in the computer. He calls it up here, and it's just displayed on the screen, and then it's just a matter of editing in here the date and the time of a watch, and then the area of concern, and when the watch starts and ends, and 70 miles along on either side of a line from point A to point B. So it makes it a lot more efficient doing it this way.
Fred, in addition to having the Severe Storms Forecast Office located here, you also have a satellite section, satellite pictures that you receive. How do you use that really in being able to keep track of severe weather that might be occurring?
Satellite helps us a great deal in that we take weather observations at conventional weather stations. They may be 50 or 100 miles apart, and we know severe weather is a very small-scale phenomenon. A tornado is just 100 yards or so wide at times, and so it's a very small-scale feature, and the thunderstorms that spawn the tornadoes are also small-scale features. So the satellite helps fill in and tell us what's happening between weather stations, and we get a continuous picture of what the cloud features are doing.
You can really see the large scale feature up there over the Great Lakes. It's affecting Minneapolis and Minnesota, St.
There's
Paul.
been a very slow-moving, large, low-pressure system, and of course we're looking at this, playing it back and forth, looking at about 6 hours worth of data here.
You can well imagine the Severe Storms Forecast Center is one large clearinghouse for data. Teletypes not only receive data for the forecasters, but they also dispatch information to Weather Service offices across the country. WCCO Television has a direct teletype line from Kansas City, so we learn of the tornado watches for our area at the same time as the local office of the National Weather Service. In a room off the Satellite Field Service Center, the time-lapse photos are prepared for the forecaster's use. And that's where WCCO Television is linked to the central satellite receiving computer. WCCO Television is one of the few broadcast stations in the country able to dial up any one of 14 different sectors of the Earth, from a full-disc hemispheric photo to a 1-mile close-up of our 5-state area. As soon as we learn of a watch issued by Kansas City, we'll broadcast it here on Channel 4. Using our Chiron lettering machine, we'll indicate which counties are affected and for what time period the watch is in effect. We'll then broadcast a map during our station breaks indicating the watch area so that you can keep abreast of what's happening with the weather. At the same time we receive that information here at Channel 4, meteorologists at the National Weather Service here in the Twin Cities are receiving the same information.
Here at the Twin Cities National Weather Service, the problem solver is John Graff, meteorologist in charge. John, let's say that there is a tornado watch. Now, what is the sequence of events?
Well, when we start talking about watch, we're talking about start watching early. And in the early afternoon when they start, we watch this development, and the surface observers are helping us. And we have 8,000 of them in the state of Minnesota that are trained to help all of us. We have the National Weather Service offices that are in the areas, and we also have the FAA that are cooperators and surface observers. And we take the progressiveness of the development in the early afternoon as it starts marching across Minnesota and, say, perhaps marching towards the Twin Cities, and we watch it grow hour by hour, and that watch box becomes a time box. And through all of this, we are then very, very much concerned with the radar, because it is going to be giving us the actual electromagnetic picture of all the things we've been watching from the surface reports. And of course, Bud, here is the main scope of the WSR-57 severe weather detection radar. And as we had explained before, this is a watch box that's actually drawn on the main scope itself. And as we had said, here's Sioux Falls, South Dakota at around noontime in the watch box, and we know progressively time-wise the weather moves through the watch box from southwest to northeast. Here's the Twin Cities. So if the activity were just showers along the Sioux Falls line at noontime, it might go to a good rain shower or a thunder shower by 1 o'clock, into maybe the first light thunderstorm by 2. By 3 o'clock, we may have picked up our first severe weather, and by 4 o'clock, we might have already a severe thunderstorm or a tornado in the area. By 5 o'clock, it may have moved on into extreme northwestern Wisconsin. By 6 o'clock, farther into the Wisconsin area, and may, if it continued severe, we might have to go with another watch box for that area.
Now, this is the same radar picture that we have at WCCO TV, isn't it?
Precisely it is. Of course, you have the addition there of having the ability to depict it by counties, and you have the color aspects as well that gives a much nicer image for presentation to the public.
How does the satellite now fit into the radar picture?
The satellite gives us the overall view of what's happening in the entire storm system, not just the small area we're looking at.
Well then, John, you turn your attention to the satellite photo.
That is correct, Bud, and this incidentally is the same photo you're receiving down at WCCO.
Yeah.
So we're both, again, looking at the same thing. And here, naturally, it's very, very important for us to get the big picture of what is happening. We've seen the radar report. We have heard the surface reports coming in. Now we can take a look at the big picture, see the big storm movement itself. Of course, our basic next step of this, if necessary, is going to be the warning. And suppose it gets into the metropolitan area. We have that inner core area for which we are turning the sirens on now, as you know, Bud. And we can actually reach right up here, dial here, and the sirens go off in the inner core area. And that inner core area, incidentally, is eastern Hennepin County. We have the extreme southern edges of Anoka in that area, northern Dakota County, and all of Ramsey County. The other counties around us, as we were discussing, are warned via our National Air Warning System by means of our NOAA weather radio, and the individual directors within the counties or sheriffs themselves can turn on part or all of the separate siren systems in the remaining portions of the 7-county metropolitan area.
Now, do you want the public to call you about these storms?
No, we don't. We have trained spotters that are already taking care of this, and law enforcement officers and patrol officials. We don't really, because this is tying up the communication circuitry. We would like to have them really, when they hear a siren, something going on, go directly to the media, see what's happening, view it on television, if you will. If they have a good radio and they want to go to their basement, do that, but go to the media. Please don't get on the telephones.
As John Graff mentioned, when you hear those alert sirens, turn to your radio or television. In just a moment, we'll explain how we'll broadcast a tornado warning and advise you of some of the safety precautions you and your family should take. The moment a severe thunderstorm or tornado warning is issued, you'll hear it immediately here on Channel 4 by using the NOAA weather radio. That means you'll be hearing it at the same time it's being released by the National Weather Service. We'll then follow that broadcast with a live broadcast from our weather center to give you details. So remember, a warning is an advisement to turn to radio and television, and for you and your family to be prepared to move to safety.
All the watches and warnings in the world aren't going to help you in a weather emergency if you don't know how to protect yourself and your family. Now, chances are you're going to be at home during severe weather. And in the next few moments, we're going to review the tornado safety procedures. And please note that there have been some changes in those procedures. One of those changes concerns the windows in your home. Now, most people are injured by flying glass. And if you feel the storm is close, stay away from your windows. But if you feel you have the time, open those windows in your home that would be away from the direction of the storm. But your top priority is to go to the lowest level in your home. In most instances, that lowest level in your home would be in the basement. Now, in the past, you've heard about going to this corner or that corner of the basement. But now authorities agree that you'd be safer against an interior wall of the basement. And it wouldn't hurt to take some time to check out that interior wall and a heavy bench or table where you might seek shelter. Take along a flashlight and transistor radio to follow the news of the storm. If you don't have a basement in your home, seek the lowest level, an interior wall, and remember to stay away from the windows, perhaps the closet or the bathroom. But now remember the rules. In a house, an apartment house, condominium, or a townhouse, get in the lowest level of that building and stay away from those windows. The only home where you would not want to stay inside would be in a mobile home. Tornado winds or straight-line winds can do a considerable amount of damage in a mobile home area. Seek a community shelter or a low-lying area nearby where you'd be able to lie down, stretch out, and protect your head with your hands and arms. In our mobile society, often you're not at home when a tornado warning is issued. You might be at a shopping center, such as the Bridgedale Shopping Center where we're visiting today, and talking to Dennis Albrecht, who is the shopping center manager. Dennis, would you tell us briefly about your plans in case of a tornado warning?
Okay. Ridgedale Center, along with all of our other Dale centers in the Twin Cities, have what we call a tenant alert phone system in which all the stores can be contacted simultaneously by telephone. In the case of a tornado warning, each of the stores would be contacted by the system, and the store employees would instruct their customers to go to the severe weather shelter areas that we have designated in each of our department store courts. What we're trying to do is to keep them out of these central mall areas where a lot of glass and flying debris could be dangerous. At the time they get to these designated areas, they will be instructed by our security and maintenance people to go into our service cores and truck docks where there's a lot more concrete and steel to give them greater protection.
Safety is also a concern at Metropolitan Stadium. You may recall back in the 1960s, Metropolitan Stadium was designated as the official bomb shelter for the city of Bloomington. And in talking to Billy Robertson today, Vice President of the Twins, we're advised that in case of severe weather, Bloomington police come to the stadium to assist in the evacuation. Fans are advised of severe weather through the Twinsogram and the public address system, and are advised to go to the rear areas of the stadium and the lower levels of the stadium for safety. Billy also reminded us that back in the days of Bob Allison, only once in the last 10 years was the stadium evacuated due to severe weather. Say you're driving back from the ballpark or driving anywhere, you're conscious of a storm situation, you know of a tornado warning. Don't try to outdrive the storm. Studies show that fatalities and injuries occur, persons being tossed about in their automobiles by the force of the storm. So stop your car, pull over the curb, get out, and again seek a low-lying area where you could stretch out, lie down, and protect your head with your hands and arms.
We're concerned about keeping you up to date on the weather, and here at WCCO we're tied into local and national weather service offices with a number of pieces of equipment. Really the ones that give us the first indications of any severe weather beginning to break out are our teletype machines. We get two feeds here at WCCO. One of them is tied in directly to the National Weather Service Forecast Office here at the Twin Cities. The other one is tied into the communications network that really originates down in Kansas City. And over this teletype machine right here we would receive all of the preliminary outlines for watches that might be issued either for severe thunderstorms or for tornadoes. We also have a machine that we receive over 120 maps a day on. Over here in the corner it's called a facsimile machine. And the facsimile machine, we're going to have to take you clear back over to the other wall here, gives us a variety of maps. They tell us what all the variables are in the atmosphere. These variables are the first things that we begin to look for possible severe weather to build up and to break out. The upper air charts, the surface analysis, we get what we call prognosis or progs. We keep a supply of these back for a few days so that we can flip back through and see how the weather has changed and look ahead at what the computer is telling us changes are going to be. Satellite photographs are important for us here at WCCO also, for us to be able to keep track of what's happening in the weather. We receive those photographs a couple of different ways. We receive hard copies, black and white photographs on our laser fax machine, but we also like to see how the clouds are changing, and so what we do is we have a machine that actually takes the satellite photographs that come in and stores them on a recording machine. We can play them back then on a television monitor, and it looks something like this. And we can receive up to 14 different sectors, really. The one that you're seeing there now is a full disc showing the entire hemisphere. We can also zero in and look at just the U.S. if we want to, see cloud cover really from coast to coast, and also just zoom in on the 5-state region if we want to see actually what's happening here locally. We have one other option, and that is to sector on that machine, and we can zoom in on any particular part and actually see a close-up much more than that, just the state of Minnesota if we wanted to. As John Graff mentioned earlier in the show, the National Weather Service radar is the radar that we use here at WCCO. We're able to do some interesting things with it, though. We're able to change ranges. We can go from 60 nautical miles out to 120, 180, 240 miles away. We're also able to sector in case something should be of particular interest somewhere around the area. We can sector in on the Fargo-Alexandria area. We can go up into the Duluth area, down into the Sioux Falls, Redwood Falls area, and also over into the La Crosse, Rochester area if we want to take a closer look at things. The colors represent different intensities of rainfall. The lightest area of rainfall would be the light blue. We then go to the darker blue, which would be the moderate rainfall. We then go to the heavy rainfall amount, which we depict in green, and then to the very heavy rainfall, which is depicted in yellow. We also have an intense rainfall sector, which is, you can see there, flashing in red. We're able also to record on a machine how the storm systems are moving and play them back for you, time-lapse, so that you can see where the storm is coming from, what direction it's moving. We also have a weather station up on the roof here at WCCO where we're able to keep track of temperature, wind speed, wind direction. We also record the rainfall, the temperature, and the wind speed so that we can keep track of what's happening outside even though we're inside. A recent addition to the WCCO Weather Center is our new computer graphics equipment, which allows us to create visuals that show you more clearly where and what is happening in the weather. Like any computer, we can program it to do a variety of functions, from displaying graphs to outlining watchbox areas. All of these machines are merely tools that allow the meteorological staff here at Channel 4 to bring you the most up-to-the-minute weather information.
But all of this detection equipment won't do any of us any good unless you and your family are prepared to listen to the latest weather advisories and are prepared to move to a place of safety should severe weather threaten.
So as the tornado season begins, you can depend on Channel 4 to keep you abreast of the changing weather.
Thank you for joining us for Tornadoes, Detection and Protection.